South Park. It's a great show. I really love it. There are countless, well, not really countless, you can count them, but there are tons of amazing episodes in this show that are still relevant today. It's one of those rare gems in the world of adult animation that is consistently pretty damn good. It has its moments where it falls off for me. I know some people feel differently, but I overall feel like South Park is doing a pretty good job these days at staying current and staying entertaining. And with a new season on the way, I really hope they can keep that up. I'm genuinely excited for it, which I can't say for many other long-running adult animated shows that have crossed the 20 season mark. It really is the only show that has crossed that mark that I am still actively excited to see new content from, because Trey Parker and Matt Stone know what they're doing. I really love these two as writers, and I really love the shows and movies that they've produced, and I cannot wait for the stuff they make next. Hell, last video I did on Oh My God Yes, I used their example on how to write story structure to give constructive criticism to a show that frankly had no story structure. But I gotta say, these two are not perfect. No one is. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like everything they've done in their careers is something I approve of or am a fan of. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today. The most hypocritical thing in my eyes that South Park has ever done. Now, this is a story that I have told to friends and I've talked about a lot in my life, and it's just never made it onto the channel because I never bothered to really give the whole topic a chance. What topic is it, you ask? It's freemium mobile games.
Family Guy, The Quest for Stuff, an all-new game for your mobile devices. Build and customize your very own Quahog. Collect all of your favorite Family Guy characters.
The Simpsons, Tapped Out, a free-to-play game now available on your mobile platform.
We all know the sort, those games that have some big IP tied to them to draw players in and get them excited. Ooh, there's a Family Guy video game on the App Store and it's free, I'll give that a try, and then you download it and you realize you were tricked. These games use big IP to draw you in usually, and then they have really basic, simple, addictive gameplay to get you started out. But then they pull the rug out from under you using the concept of time itself. Freemium mobile games use real-world time requirements to motivate players to spend real-world money on their fake currency in the game to speed up the flow of time. Now, I know that might sound a little confusing if you've never played one of these games, but think of like a base building game. You want to build a new building, it's going to take 12 real-world hours for that building to be built in the game, and that is by design, because if you pay $5, then it only takes 0 hours to build that building, and you can just continue playing the game like you were, even though you just paid $5. That's how freemium games work, and it's not just with base builders. Think of a game that requires a lot of grind. It might be free, sure, but this has also been applied to full-fledged games like Middle-earth: Shadow of War, a game I really loved back in the day that required you to grind to get orcs to add to your army, but in order to speed it up, you could buy loot boxes, and loot boxes are part of this, where they sell you game-altering things for real-world money to change how the game works. Freemium games aren't anything new, and their practices can be implemented all across the video game world. And seeing as my real-life job, aside from this channel, is editing for a gaming YouTube channel, I run into annoying shit like this all the time. And I hate games that employ these predatory strategies because they're not looking to make money off of 90% of players. They're looking at making some money off of 9% of players and the majority of their money off of 1% of players. The players that get addicted, the players that are the whales, as they're called. Freemium games prey on the weak, the addicted, the vulnerable. They prey on people that don't have enough sense to say, hey, this game isn't even fun. Why am I spending money on it? Oh, that's right, I only kind of enjoyed, and the more I tap the screen, the same amount of dopamine gets released in my brain. And so sure, I'll give you $5, and then $10, and then $20, and then $100, and before you know it, you've spent hundreds of dollars on a mobile game that's really only worth about $1. It's disgusting. I don't like it. All right, I'm not gonna blame the victims of it here. I get how addiction works, all right? And I get that it's not just the game industry that exploits addicts. You can look at the alcohol industry, and all this stuff I'm talking about, this whole description, is all depicted in the season 18 episode of South Park titled Freemium Isn't Free.
Fremium. The mium is Latin for not really.
This episode of South Park is maybe one of the most perfect ones I've ever seen because they tackle every single aspect you could think of when it comes to freemium predatory mobile games. First, you have the mobile game itself. It's a Terrence and Phillip Rebuild Canada mobile game where you're building bases and stuff like that, and you're tapping on the screen and getting coins. Terrence and Phillip are a big IP, so all the kids are excited about it. When the kids see it and start playing it, they realize how crappy it is and they all put it down, except for the whale, who is Stan in this episode, who immediately gets addicted to it and starts spending way too much money. This episode also does a great job of comparing the freemium games industry to other industries that exploit addicts for profit, like the alcohol industry. And there's a lot of great jokes with Randy when he's scolding Stan for spending way too much money on mobile games. Meanwhile, he's spending tons of money on alcohol and is constantly drinking throughout the episode. It's just great.
I don't know how you can say that when you're standing here chugging beer.
I am not chugging beer. I'm sampling a flight of gluten-free German lagers with a French wine pairing. It's called a Smorgaswein, and it's elegantly cultural.
This episode is really South Park at its best, and the little cherry on top of this freemium isn't free episode is the fact that South Park's creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, sort of put their money where their mouths were at. They make this episode poking fun and denouncing this area of the games industry with freemium games and taking advantage of addicts, and then in the same year, in 2014, the year this episode released, they released their own South Park video game. And it is no joke, one of my favorite games of all time. Now, to be completely fair, South Park The Stick of Truth released a handful of months before the Freemium Isn't Free episode came out, because of course the game was being promoted with the previous season episodes about the console wars and the Game of Thrones parody and all that stuff. But even though the game came out before this episode and not after, I still think it works as sort of a 1-2 punch. They complement each other a lot. You have the creators of South Park releasing a game that is genuinely great, and then you have them making an episode denouncing a practice in the gaming industry that is genuinely terrible. It's just perfect. So now I'm sure you're wondering, Mr. Cow, where does the hypocrisy come into all of this? So far, this all seems great. And you're right about that. This is about as good as it gets. This is South Park at its very best. But 3 years after the Freemium Isn't Free episode released, South Park decided to do something incredibly stupid. They released their very own freemium mobile game called South Park Phone Destroyer. Now, when I first came across this game when I was about 16 years old or so, I was already a fan of South Park. I had seen the Freemium Isn't Free episode, and I was very, very confused. I did not know why they were making it, and I thought, oh, it must be like a trick or something. It must be like a joke. It's not really a freemium mobile game. Maybe it's like a tie-in to the Stick of Truth, which I was kind of right about. There is a lot of great South Park humor in this mobile game. Not a ton, but, you know, some at least to make it stand out on its own. There's little cutscenes and things like that. The theming is definitely on brand, but at the end of the day, this is exactly the kind of thing they were denouncing in the Freemium Isn't Free episode. I don't care how tongue-in-cheek it is. I don't care how the game is all based around like, oh, isn't it funny how the kids of South Park, the plot of the game is they want the new kid, you, the player, to spend money on the game so that they can make money, even though it's a free game. You don't have to spend money, but you can. That's the joke. Isn't it funny? And yes, I'll admit, it is kind of funny. It's a really creative premise for a freemium mobile game. But at the end of the day, it's still a freemium mobile game. It's still exploiting vulnerable people by creating a game with an incredibly simple gameplay loop that is not fun, and then driving them to spend money on it to make it more fun. It's the exact same thing. Now, I'm not here just to talk about this game, okay? I did actually go out of my way to try it. I played it for 2 hours, and I did a lot of research. I was trying to find out how much money people usually spent on it. I was trying to find out how much time it took to beat the main story of the game, and it's really inconsistent. However, I did discover that the game has 3 separate endings depending on how much money you spent in the game. If you spent no money, you get this ending.
Let's see what your contribution to our game has been. Wow, that's not very key. That's not cool. People worked really hard on this game.
Jeez, what a dirty trick the new kid played on us.
I told you guys we'd get fucked going freemium.
And then if you spend anywhere from 99 cents to, I believe it's $30, it's a little unclear. I've heard reports of it costing as much as $50 for the final ending, but we'll get to that. If you spend $1 or so, you'll get this ending.
Okay, I guess that's what the new kid thought this game was worth.
Mm-hmm.
What can we buy with that?
Maybe like a puzzle or something?
Told you we should have just charged them money before playing the game like in the olden days.
And then if you spent anywhere from $30 to $50, I even saw some people saying this ending was only possible if you spent $65. There's no concrete number, but it seems like 30 is about the threshold. So grain of salt with that information. But if you spend enough money, just using that term, you'll get this ending.
Holy shit, dude, what a contribution!
Yeah! Wow, thanks, new kid. Yeah, now we can keep playing forever. Yeah, and you might want to see someone about mobile game addiction. Yay!
I don't care how tongue-in-cheek it is, or ironic it is. This is incredibly hypocritical to make an episode talking about all the dangers and the disgusting world of freemium mobile games, to then 3 years later release a freemium mobile game that is still on the market today, still preying on people with addiction problems. There are no other words for that than gross and hypocritical, unless of course you have a thesaurus, in which case you could probably find a lot of other words to describe this, none of which would be good, because this game isn't fun. It has all the same problems of these other freemium mobile games. This is a deck building game, so if you want the best deck, if you want to have one that works well in the campaign, or especially in PvP, which is something they force you to do to continue playing the campaign at certain parts, then you have to either grind a whole bunch, or get the best cards from packs, which you have to use in-game currency for, an in-game currency that is hard to get without grinding. So you can grind it out, or you can just pay for it. They're doing the thing that they said was bad in the thing that we're talking about. I mean, what more can I say, honestly, at this point? It is just incredibly disappointing to see the creators of South Park greenlight this and go for this after making this episode. It is so lame and so stupid, and I feel like it cheapens what should have been one of the better episodes of South Park, in my opinion, because these freemium mobile games are everywhere. The whole thing that motivated me to make this video was seeing an ad on Twitter for a The Office mobile game. That's right, a The Office mobile game. How fucking stupid is that?
Stupid. This is so stupid.
And that is why, my lovely viewers, I think that this is the most hypocritical thing South Park has ever done. If you disagree with me, if there's a different example, please let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to do another video like this. I'm always down to check out some quality episodes of South Park, and I'm pretty sure even if an episode winds up being hypocritical in some way, like this one, it's still probably a good episode. It's only when you step back and you see the whole picture that the hypocrisy becomes so apparent. I think the lesson we've all learned here today is do not trust any mobile game on the App Store that says it is free and is tied to a popular IP, because it is most likely a predatory freemium game. And you never know. If you haven't tried one of these games, don't do it. If you have an addictive personality, you might not be able to stop yourself, and you could wind up losing a lot of money to something as stupid as a mobile video game. I know it's dumb and we laugh and we have fun, but I've known people that have struggled with this shit before. I know of people that are currently struggling with this shit online. There are lots of them that are readily apparent that you can see that are just struggling with this, and you feel bad for them, but at the same time, they are the ones that made the choice to download it. They're the ones making the choice to spend the money, and you gotta protect yourself. So don't engage with it. If you want to play a game that is really good and tied to an adult animated IP, please, for the love of God, play the Stick of Truth. It is $7.50 right now. That's a ridiculous deal. And what's especially great about the Stick of Truth is it does not get old. I have played that game once a year for the last, I don't know, 7 years at this point, and I have fun every single time. It's like revisiting an old movie that you love, except it's a video game. That's how good the Stick of Truth is. So play that. Don't play freemium mobile games. And remember, nobody's perfect. I still love the creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I think that they're tremendous writers. I think they are hilarious, but nobody's perfect. Sometimes the bags of money are just a bit too heavy for you to look past. And I'm sure that's what persuaded them. Maybe we can do some mental gymnastics and say they were convinced or tricked in some way by some big game publisher like Ubisoft into making a freemium game. Maybe it was the only way they were able to make a sequel to the Stick of Truth. They're like, okay, you can make a sequel, but you have to give us a freemium game. We can make educated guesses and stuff like that, but again, we have to be responsible for our choices when it comes to not falling victim to these freemium mobile games and avoiding them like the plague. And in the same way, the creators of South Park have to be responsible for their choices, whether intentional or not, or whether motivated by some quid pro quo. It was still something that they let happen, and it trivializes one of the better episodes of South Park, in my opinion, because I do really care about the games industry, and I think freemium games are fucking disgusting and embarrassing. And that's the story of South Park's most hypocritical moment ever, at least according to me. Again, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Goodbye, everybody!